Hello, everybody, it's me, Ross, and welcome to KOA Retro, where we look back at classic seasons, classic matches, and former Town players from the past. Today, I'm joined by Paul Holden as we celebrate the season where Town became champions of England. Paul, thanks for joining me. We're going to set the scene of that wonderful season under Alf Ramsey, now, of course, Sir Alf Ramsey. You were a very young boy then, but playing in the top flight for the very first time.
Yes, at the start of the season I was 10 and became 11 in January. But I'm trying to remember my emotions at the start of the season, but I know generally we were expected to go straight back down again. I suppose I believed that as well. I don't know, I can't really remember. But it was exciting.
Okay, what we're going to do in this video is we're going to go through the months, August to April, where of course we lifted a title, we won against Aston Villa. So let's get into August, and it was a mixed bag of results. Let's get into it. Start of the season in the top flight with a 0-0 with Bolton. Then we lost to Burnley 4-3 at Turf Moor. Then our first home game in the top flight was a defeat against Man City, a 4-2 defeat. But then played Burnley again, and we beat them 6-2 at Portman Road. What's your memories from the start of the season? And yeah, mixed bag.
Yeah, it was a mixed bag. I know the report of the Burnley game, the away game, was that it was a great game to watch, and I think we surprised Burnley with the way we played and how well we played. The Manchester City game, I remember mostly. I just remember the Manchester City shirts, which were maroon and thin blue stripe. And also our first choice left back, Ken Malcolm, got injured in that game. And as it happened, that was his last appearance of the season. The Burnley game on the Tuesday night was incredible, really. All five forwards scored. And it was incredible. Burnley had been champions 2 seasons before, and they were to push us for the title this season. But that was an incredible result and an incredible night. So I have memories of that. Not the individual. I have memories of one of the goals, but the goals themselves I don't remember. The game I do. I think because my mum. I used to go with my mum and dad, but because it was a night match, my mum was at home with my daughter, so it was just my dad and me that night. So that got our season up and going, beating Burnley 6-2, which is not a bad start.
Not a bad start at all. And of course, at that point, of course, Ray Crawford became top goal scorer that season. I'm just looking at the goals now. He's scored 3 goals already. You know, playing in top flight. Would you say he was adapted to it pretty quickly?
Yeah, he did. I mean, Ray Crawford for me is the best centre forward we've ever had. I mean, Paul Mariner pushed him very close in my mind. Yeah. But when I try and pick my all-time Ipswich Town side, Ray Crawford is definitely in it. He adapted quickly. Yeah, I mean, he did gain 2 international caps that season, but they were his only 2. But he was a great goal scorer.
Okay then, Paul, let's go into September, and September goes like this. A 3-1 win at West Brom, then a 2-1 win against Blackburn Rovers, then a 4-1 win against Birmingham City, then a 5-2 defeat at Goodison Park against Everton, then a 2-2 draw with Blackburn Rovers, and a 4-2 defeat at home to Fulham. Paul's got a good stat about this, and a 4-1 win at Sheffield Wednesday. Which games would you like to focus on?
Well, certainly the West Brom one, because that was my first ever away game. My mother comes from Worcestershire, and we were on holiday in Worcestershire at the time. So my mum, dad and myself went to that West Brom game. I remember one of our goals, the goal that Dougie Moran scored. And I also remember we had red shirts on, white shorts, and I believe green socks.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm not 100% certain about the green socks, but that's what I have in my memory. But I remember Dougie Moran scoring one of those goals. From that month, my next main memory is losing the Fulham game, which, as it happened, was our last home defeat of the season. Having lost 2 pretty early on, we were then almost unbeatable. Well, we were unbeatable at home from then on. So September, I mean, we're doing all right and probably better than a lot of people expected.
So on to October then, Paul. 4-2 win at home against West Ham, then a 2-1 defeat at Sheffield United, but then we beat Spurs, the almighty Spurs 3-2, and Paul's got a good stat about this as well, and a 1-1 draw to end the month at Blackpool. Which one game do you want to cover, my friend?
Well, I remember the West Ham game, but mostly the Tottenham game, because they were the team then. They'd done the double the previous season, and as it happened, that previous season was the last time that Spurs won the league. So, as I like to tell anybody, especially Spurs supporters, we've been champions of England more recently than Tottenham. But I remember a huge crowd. I'm not sure if it was. I don't think it was a record crowd, but certainly it was just close to a full house, and they were the team to beat. And I think they finished third eventually that season. But they were a huge team, and that result, I think, got us noticed, and people started to realise that Ipswich weren't pushovers.
Okay, on to November then, Paul, and November goes like this: a 1-0 win at home to Forest, then a 2-0 defeat at Wolves, but then beat Man United 4-1. Then we ended the month with a 3-0 win at Cardiff City. You've said Man United's the game to talk about. Let's get into it.
Well, yeah, I mean, that game, I only have memory of one goal, but it was John Ellsworthy scored with a free kick. I remember him chipping it over the wall, and I think it bounced through the keeper Gaskell's legs, I think. I'm not sure about that, but I remember John Ellsworthy taking the free kick from the edge just outside the area, chipping it over the wall, and ended up in the net. I don't remember I have any memory of any of the other goals that game, but I mean, Manchester United, as now, was a big name, although they were in a bit of decline, starting to be in a sort of going through a little bit of a slump, but it was still a very good result. And another one to add to the list that made people realise that Ipswich were maybe not too bad.
So, Paul, let's get into December then. A 5-2 win against Chelsea at Porton Road, then a 3-0 defeat at Aston Villa, then a 2-1 win against Bolton at Porton Road, then we lost against Man City. They did the double over us. We lost there 3-0, but then we beat Leicester City 1-0 on Boxing Day. Which games would you like to cover?
Well, the Bolton one, the Leicester one was the only home game that I didn't see that season. Because we went to Worcestershire to my grandparents for Christmas, as we always did. So the Bolton one, I remember a goal from that game that would not count now, but was perfectly legal then. Eddie Hopkinson, the Bolton goalkeeper, caught the ball from a corner, and Ray Crawford, with Hopkinson having the ball in his arms, barged him over the goal line. And that was perfectly legal then, as long as the goalkeeper had got both feet on the ground and got the ball in his possession. So that counts as a goal to Crawford, or they didn't actually touch the ball, but he barged Hopkinson over the line. And I'm not sure if it's the first or second goal, but I do remember that goal.
Okay then, Paul. January, February. January was, stop-start because the FA Cup congestion fixtures. There's only 2 league games in January. A 3-0 home win against West Brom. Then we lost at Birmingham City 3-1. We won't talk about who we lost in the FA Cup. But then February, 4-2 win against Everton at home. A 2-1 win at Fulham. Then a 2-2 draw against West Ham United. And it started a fantastic winning run, didn't it, Paul?
Yes, that's right. I mean, we actually played 5 FA Cup games, but only won one of them because Luton went to 3 games and we won a second replay at Highbury. We then drew at KOA Road, but didn't do quite so well in the home game. So that was us at the FA Cup. But Burnley were up the top. We were not far off, although they seemed to always have games in hand, which in theory meant if they won them, their lead would get stretched, but we were in contention for the title, and people were now definitely taking Ipswich seriously.
So, Paul, we mentioned March was the start of a winning run, and what a month it was indeed. Back-to-back wins against Sheffield clubs, a 4-0 win against Sheffield United, then a 2-1 win against Sheffield Wednesday, then we beat Spurs at White Hart Lane 3-1, then a 1-1 draw against Blackpool, then a 1-1 draw at Nottingham Forest, then a 2-0 win against Leicester City, and then we ended the month with a 3-2 win against Wolves. What a month that was.
It was a great month, yeah. I remember particularly the Sheffield Wednesday game, or at least the winner, Roy Stevenson, scoring, I think, 4 or 5 minutes in the end, cutting in from the right and scoring. The bulk of the goals through the season was scored by Crawford and Phillips, but others chipped in every now and again. And also the Wolves game, my mum's brothers were Wolves supporters, and we got a late winner in that one, Dougie Moran scoring. That's another goal that I have memories of. And I remember, it's a strange thing to remember maybe, but I remember after that goal I was saying, we beat the Wolves, we beat the Wolves. And I remember my mum saying, not yet, we haven't, it's not finished. But as it happened, we did win 3-2 with that late winner. The win at Spurs was also an incredible result because they were still the reigning champions and they were, I think, third in the league. And so, though that month had people really believing that Ipswich could win the league, probably the first time that season that people were actually believing it, that it could happen.
Okay then, Paul. It's the month where Town became champions of England for the very first time. April saw us start the month with a 5-0 defeat at Manchester United, but then we beat Cardiff City 1-0, 2-2 draw against Arsenal, a 2-2 draw against Chelsea. Then we beat Arsenal at Highbury 3-0, but then the game that is remembered by a lot of people, a 2-0 win at Portland Road against Villa as we were crowned champions of England. Paul, you're going to focus on the Aston Villa game, but what a month to be crowned champions.
Yeah, it was. I think the Manchester United result made people think that we weren't going to do it. The Arsenal-Chelsea games were on Good Friday, and I think all three games were over Easter. I think there were 3 games in 5 days. I think we played Arsenal on Good Friday at home, the 2-2 draw in a record crowd. I think we were 2-0 behind in that game. I think Chelsea was a Saturday. Was it the next day?
Yeah.
And then,
How is that allowed?
And then on the Monday we were at Highbury and won 3-0, which was another incredible result. And by then Burnley still had to be favourites because they had a game in hand still. Burnley had dropped a lot of points in the back end of the season. I mean, they could have won the league comfortably, but they were throwing away points. But going to that last Saturday against Aston Villa, a win didn't guarantee us the title because Burnley had the game that day against Chelsea, who were already relegated, a home game, and then they had to play Sheffield Wednesday the following Monday. So even if we won, if Burnley won both their games, they would have won the title on goal difference. Goal average, rather. Sorry, it was goal average then, not goal difference. But so even a win did not guarantee us the title, but anything less than a win would be no use. So I think it got into the game against Villa. I think we got into the 72nd minute or something, still 0-0. And then we had a corner at Churchman's End on the right, and John Ellsworthy headed the ball against the bar, and Ray Crawford put a diving header into the net to put us ahead. And then not long after that, Crawford got a second. There is a clip about that day on the internet, but the second goal is not on it. There is a Crawford putting the ball in the net, but that was disallowed, although I don't remember it from the game. But the actual second goal I've never seen on film, although it is very much in my head, because I remember Crawford and Sluganoke, the Villa centre half, and Sims, the goalkeeper, all conversion on the ball. Crawford got a shot in which was blocked, and then he put the rebound in, so that was just 2-0 ahead. So the game was won, but we still had to wait to see what had happened with Burnley, because if they had won and then won again the following midweek, they'd have been champions. And after a long time, because obviously it was way before internet and stuff, the result came through from Burnley that they had drawn, and therefore they couldn't catch us, and we were champions of England. As it happened, Burnley lost the Sheffield Wednesday game as well, so the gap was 3 points in the end, but it could have been much closer. And so we were champions of England, and I was also on the wall in the West Stand near the trains box with my mum and dad. I didn't go on the pitch, but the pitch was full of men and boys, and I suppose girls and women, and the players were mobbed and being carried on. Once the Burnley result was known and it was known we were champions, the players came out again, and they were sort of being carried on shoulders, and it was incredible. But I also remember the interview that Alf Ramsey did after that game that's on the internet. The interviewer went through a long rigmarole and then ended by saying, "Mr. Ramsey, how do you feel?" And Alf Ramsey's answer was, "I feel fine." You know, he was incredible. I mean, I did meet him as much as I got his autograph, but I mean, he was an incredible. He outthought the rest of the league actually, which is why we won it. I think because we played a different system to everybody else, and nobody else worked us out. They did the following season, but during that season, not many teams worked out how to play against Ipswich Town. The system itself was sort of a 4-4-2 before 4-4-2 existed, because we played with deep wingers. Normally teams played with 5 forwards, 2 wingers, a centre forward, 2 inside forwards, and the wingers would take on the fullbacks with the aim of getting across in. Wingers were usually fast. Well, Roy Stevenson was quick, but Jimmy Ledbetter certainly wasn't. So he didn't play. Ledbetter in particular didn't play as an orthodox winger. He played deep, and he had a great passing ability through to Crofton, Phillips and Moran. And the opposition fullback, right back, didn't know what to do, because they were used to having somebody running at them with the ball, but Ledbetter didn't do that. So they didn't know if they should be waiting for him to move towards them or whether they should move towards him, playing deep. And if they moved towards him, that left gaps for him to play the ball into. So really it was that system plus the goals of Phillips and Crawford that won us the league. It was wonderful season, but it was basically that Alf Ramsey devised a system that suited his players, and it worked fantastically.
It did, and we're remembering it to this day. We'll remember every year. 1961-62 season, what a season it was. And we're going to end this video, Paul. It's been an incredible journey down memory lane. I always do this on all different videos. The one-word situation, one word to describe that season, and of course, add as you would want to.
Well, the only word can be incredible, because it was assumed that we'd be going straight back down. The fact that we survived was surprising to a lot of people, but to actually win it could only be described as incredible.
There we go, perfect way to end. Paul, thank you so much for joining me. Hope you've enjoyed the bearded wonders of me and Paul. We're back for many more KOA retros. Let us know in the comments your thoughts, your memories from the games of that season if you did go. But yeah, thank you very much again, Paul.
Thank you.